so we had to take off some of these pulley bolts that go into the head. We had to take off, I think it's 5 inside of here, 5 up here, and then we just actually pulled all the header bolts because there's a couple more underneath. So once we move the header out of the way, we should be able to get to these bottom bolts and pull the head. All right, so you can kind of see them there at the bottom right next to all the spark plugs. So I had to pull the oil dipstick to get the headers completely out of the way, but those are coming up next. All right, so next on the list, now that we got the motor mounts in, is we picked up some new head gaskets from Texas Speed. And then over here, we have some head studs from ARP. So we're gonna clean the block up real quick and then start dropping the heads back on. Okay, so the studs are in. There's 5 little ones up here, there's 5 inside, and then there's 5 below down here. But I don't have the proper bit to torque these, so we'll have to run to Harbor Freight in the morning and grab those. Well, you know the deal. Since we're here, we ordered BMR solid motor mounts because the ones that are in the car are the stock ones and they're trashed. I don't remember if it was the driver or passenger side, but one of them's like completely blown out. So since we have the heads off the car, I figured I might as well just pull both of those. We took the wheel off just now. What I'll do is I'll loosen the driver side and then we'll pull the passenger side. I'll put the jack and a piece of wood underneath the oil pan, and I'll tilt the engine just enough to get it out, and then we'll go to the other side, pull the wheel, and do that side next. And then just real quick, like I said, these are the solid ones, so what we'll do is we'll throw both of these on a scale and see what the weight differences are. All right, so not like, 2 pounds combined is gonna make or break the car, but just out of my own curiosity and fascination with weighing things, I just wanted to throw them on scales to see what they are. But honestly, this feels quite a bit heavier than 2 pounds, so I'm kind of shocked. I thought this would actually be heavier, but now we know. All right, so you can kind of see it right there. I had to go through the top with this contraption here. So now that they're both finger tight, I'm gonna flip over to this side, loosen them, and then that way I can rock the engine without it falling out of the bottom of the car. So of course, to pin the crank, I need to pull this water pump because pinning the crank is what we're doing next. So like I said, of course, this is about the 32nd time I've taken all these pulleys off. So I saved you guys watching me do that again, but now we're gonna pull this water pump off. We're actually gonna paint it while it's off, and then we're gonna go ahead and pin the crank. Four tools later, we rented 3 of them from AutoZone, and then we ended up having to buy one, but we finally got the balancer off. Shout out to these guys. Go ahead and grab one of these, because if not, the ones you rent from AutoZone are a huge pain. But a buddy of ours has a pin kit, so we're gonna snag that from him and pin the crank. All right, I don't know when I'll include it in this video or the next one, but we are gonna put our blower back in the box, and then we're gonna have to cut this one down to make it fit, because today we purchased the export from Kong. So we are going to have to break this down, put it in the box, and then send this off. And then they're gonna port it and then do some like epoxy stuff on the bottom, I believe. So just real quick, this is the before, and then whenever we get it back in the mail, we will do just a quick walk around for the after. But they should come through, port some of this, port the snout, and then they'll come through and shave some of this stuff down. So that's what we got going on next. All right, so since it's back in the original packaging, I cut this top to fit. So what we'll do is we'll just overlay it like so, and then I'll come across and I'll probably with pen or marker or something, draw on this to figure out exactly how much I need to shave off each side, and then I'll use my little saw up there to hopefully rip through that. All right, so you can see I kind of cut it down. So what I'm thinking is, I already talked to the dudes over at Kong, and they said I can send them the solid isolator and the pulley, and they'll put it on. So I think probably like here and here, I'll cut a hole in the packaging and then be able to put the parts that I'm sending them as well in there. All right, so like I said, I had to cut down the packaging and the box, and the new pulley and hub are in there, and then the new isolators in there. So I'll finish packing this up, and then we'll get it in the mail in the morning. All right, so just real quick, we went by, stopped and got our injectors from R&D, and Lance welded my brick. And then over here in this bag, it's hard to see, but it's the pin kit for the crank. So my wife's gonna come help me here in a second, and we're gonna knock out pinning the crank. All right, cool. So you can see here's our a hole for the dowel, well, for the pin, right? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the pin, and we're gonna gently tap, tap, tap until we can get it to clear the hub for our new balancer assembly, and then we'll be able to push it on and start putting pulleys on. All right, so we got a 2-part dilemma going on right now. So the first one, you can see this is not fully seated on the crank. That is because I do not have a torque wrench that goes to 240 foot-pounds. So we'll have to run to the store and get one of those, but it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, right now. So maybe tomorrow. And then the second problem is, even if I did have that torque wrench, I can't keep the engine from turning over. So here in the next day or two, we'll borrow the wife to hold the flywheel while we crank it. And then that'll get that done. But I think for this video, we're probably gonna put the water pump back on and maybe the headers. And then these, I replaced a video or two ago. I'm just gonna ditch the heater core. So tomorrow in the mail, we should be getting this rubber hose. It's like U-shaped, and we'll put that on down there. Well, over there on the water pump, but we'll put that on because we're basically gonna be ditching that. And then I think that's pretty much it. We got the blower in the mail, so here in 2 weeks, we should get that back. I got my intake spacers, and honestly, I think that's really it. I think the only thing we're missing is an intake. So hold tight, we're almost there. Here in a couple weeks, so we should be able to fire this thing. I didn't want to bore you with putting these pulleys on for like the 107th time. I feel like in my future, I'm going to take them off maybe like 3 to 7 more times. But those are back on. We got our header gaskets, so we can put our headers back on. We need to go back through it and check all of our rocker arms. We need to get the 2 bolts for the power steering pump. And then, I mean, obviously the radiator needs to go back in, but we're not going to do that until the dampener's all the way on. And then I think we're just waiting on Kong to send us back our supercharger. Huge shout out to Kong. Big shout out to R&D. Lance at R&D has been hooking us up with all kinds of stuff for this project. So make sure you guys hit him up. Kong is another one that's been helping us. The DSX and DMS, big help for those guys there. So like I said, guys, I think we're super close. We should be able to get the car tuned and maybe running in the next video, I hope.